The Greenbrier ghost story is one of the most fascinating cases in American legal history. It stands out not just for its eerie elements, but also for its unique place in the annals of law and justice. It combines the intrigue of a murder mystery with the spine-tingling elements of the paranormal. The story has captivated generations, blending the macabre with the inexplicable. The tale takes place in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, in the late 1800s. This was a time when the supernatural was often interwoven with everyday life, and the unexplained was sometimes accepted as part of the natural order. This is a place where the veil between life and death felt thin. The mist-covered fields and old cemeteries added to the sense of mystery and otherworldliness that permeated the area. It was in this setting that a young woman named Zona Heaster Shue met an untimely and mysterious end. Her life, filled with promise, was abruptly cut short, leaving many questions unanswered. Her death would spark a chain of events that challenged the very foundations of justice and reason. The case would become a landmark in legal history, not just for its outcome, but for the way it unfolded. Zona Shue was a beautiful young woman known for her kind heart and gentle spirit. She was beloved by those who knew her, and her tragic death left a void in the community. She had recently married a man named Edward Stribling. Their union was seen as a new beginning, a fresh chapter in their lives. Life seemed full of promise for the newlywed couple. They were the picture of happiness, their future seemingly bright and filled with potential. However, their happiness was tragically cut short when Zona was found dead in her home. The discovery was shocking and left the community in a state of disbelief. The official cause of death was ruled natural causes. It was a conclusion that seemed too simple for such a sudden and unexpected demise. It was a simple explanation for a seemingly straightforward case. Yet, for those who knew Zona, the official ruling did not sit well. But something didn't sit right with Zona's mother, Mary Jane Heaster. She was a woman of strong convictions and deep intuition. Mary Jane was a woman of deep faith, known for her strong will and unwavering intuition. Her connection to her daughter was profound, and she felt in her heart that something was amiss. She refused to believe that her daughter's death was natural. Her instincts told her that there was more to the story, something hidden beneath the surface. She was convinced that something more sinister had occurred. Her determination to uncover the truth was unwavering, and she began to seek answers. Driven by an unshakable feeling in her heart, Mary Jane began to pray fervently. She sought guidance and clarity, hoping for a sign that would reveal the truth. She pleaded for a sign, a whisper from the beyond, to reveal the truth about her daughter's fate. Her prayers were filled with desperation and hope, a mother's plea for justice. Little did she know, her prayers were about to be answered in the most unexpected way. The events that followed would defy logic and reason, bringing to light a story that would be remembered for generations. Zona Heaster Shue's death in January 1897 sent shockwaves through the small community of Greenbrier County. The news spread quickly, and the townsfolk were left in a state of disbelief and sorrow. The young woman, just 23 years old, had been found dead in her home. Her lifeless body was discovered in a manner that seemed both sudden and mysterious. She had been married for only a few short months. Her marriage to Edward Stribling was supposed to be the beginning of a new chapter in her life, filled with hope and promise. Her husband, Edward Stribling, was the one who reported her death. He was a man known in the community, but not much was known about his past. He claimed to have found her at the bottom of the stairs. His account was filled with details that painted a picture of a tragic accident. He suggested she had suffered a heart attack or some other sudden ailment. In those days, medical knowledge was limited, and sudden deaths were often attributed to natural causes without much investigation. At the time, medical examinations were not as thorough as they are today. The tools and techniques available to doctors were rudimentary, and many conditions went undiagnosed. The local doctor accepted Stribling's account without much scrutiny. The examination was brief, and the cause of death was quickly recorded as everlasting faint. Zona was quickly laid to rest in the nearby Soul Chapel Methodist Cemetery. The funeral was a somber affair, attended by grieving family and friends who could hardly believe the young woman's life had ended so abruptly. Her death seemed like a tragic end to a young life, but little did anyone suspect that the true story was far more sinister. Whispers began to circulate, and some started to question the circumstances surrounding her untimely demise. The shadow of tragedy had fallen upon the community. The once peaceful town was now shrouded in an air of suspicion and unease. But it was Mary Jane Heaster, Zona's heartbroken mother, who felt the weight of this tragedy most acutely. She was consumed by grief and a gnawing sense that something was terribly wrong. Her intuition told her that her daughter's death was not as it seemed, and she was determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Mary Jane Heaster was a woman of deep faith and conviction. She lived in a time when the line between the spiritual and the physical was often blurred, and her beliefs were deeply rooted in the traditions of her community. She was racked with grief over Zona's untimely death. Zona, her beloved daughter, had been the light of her life, and her sudden passing left a void that seemed impossible to fill. But amidst her sorrow, a seed of doubt began to grow. Mary Jane couldn't help but feel that there was more to Zona's death than met the eye. The circumstances surrounding her daughter's demise were shrouded in mystery and unanswered questions. She couldn't shake the feeling that something about her daughter's passing wasn't right. The official explanation seemed too convenient, too neat, and Mary Jane's intuition told her that there was a darker truth lurking beneath the surface. This feeling intensified when she visited Zona's grave. The cold, silent tombstone seemed to whisper secrets that only a mother could hear, and Mary Jane felt a strange connection to her daughter's spirit. As she knelt by the cold tombstone, Mary Jane made a solemn vow. She promised her daughter that she would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. This vow became her guiding light, a beacon of hope in her darkest hours. She promised her daughter that she would uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Her determination was unwavering, and she knew that she would not rest until justice was served. Over the next few nights, something extraordinary happened. Mary Jane began to experience a series of vivid, unsettling dreams that felt more real than reality itself. Mary Jane claimed that Zona's spirit began to visit her. These spectral visitations were both terrifying and comforting, as they provided Mary Jane with the answers she so desperately sought. Appearing at the foot of her bed, the spectral figure of Zona recounted a chilling tale. She spoke of betrayal, violence, and a love that had turned into a nightmare. She revealed that Edward, her own husband, had been abusive. The man who was supposed to protect and cherish her had instead become her tormentor. In a fit of rage, he had broken her neck. The violence of the act was shocking, and the pain of betrayal cut deep into Mary Jane's heart. Zona's spirit appeared to her mother over 4 nights, each time revealing a new detail about her demise. These visits were like pieces of a dark puzzle, slowly coming together to form a complete picture. The spirit described how Edward had violently twisted her neck. The horror of the act was almost too much to bear, but Mary Jane knew she had to listen to every word. She showed her mother the telltale signs of the assault, the bruises, the broken bones, the unmistakable evidence of a violent struggle. These ghostly visits left Mary Jane terrified, yet strangely resolute. She was filled with a newfound sense of purpose, driven by the need to seek justice for her daughter. She knew she had to convince the authorities of what she had learned. This was no easy task, as the idea of spectral evidence was met with skepticism and disbelief. The whispers from beyond had given her a horrifying truth. Mary Jane documented every detail, every word spoken by Zona's spirit, in the hopes that it would be enough to persuade the authorities. Now, it was up to her to make the world believe her. Armed with the truth and driven by a mother's love, Mary Jane Heaster embarked on a quest for justice that would change the course of history. Armed with the chilling testimony from her daughter's ghost, Mary Jane Heaster approached the prosecutor, John Preston. She recounted the ghostly visits and the details of Zona's claims. Initially, Preston was skeptical. However, Mary Jane's unwavering conviction and the detailed nature of the accusations gave him pause. He agreed to reopen the investigation into Zona's death. The first step was to exhume Zona's body. A second autopsy was performed, this time by a more experienced doctor. The findings were shocking. The examination revealed that Zona's neck had indeed been broken. There were clear signs of strangulation. This directly contradicted the initial report of natural causes. The evidence was impossible to ignore. Zona's death was no accident. It was murder.